conversation. I remember one vice-chancellor of Moi University then, Professor Ogot, saying that the minister is causing confusion because this Tibet thing is not the thing to do. But the reality is, to 1.7 million citizens, we just recruited another 500,000 aged orphans and people living with disability, for us to be able to look after the vulnerable. Because as a society, we have to look out for the people who are vulnerable, especially those who live with disability. Number two, you asked me about cyber. It is true. I was in Tana River actually about a month and a half ago. And I can confirm that the distances are far. But the good news is this. If you speak to your member of parliament, we have already agreed with them that they will set up an ICT hub in every ward in Kenya. We have changed the law. The CDF law that was used for just building schools, we changed the law. I signed the law into effect, and now we are using CDF to build an ICT hub in every ward for 3 reasons. Reason number 1 is to make sure that ICT infrastructure is available to citizens, including students. Number 2 is because we have a big program on digital jobs. And number 3, we want to encourage digital commerce, and we want government services to be available on that digital space, and therefore citizens don't have to come to Nairobi or to go to other areas. They can access government services from those ICT hubs. So we have a plan around the ICT hubs. I got a brief yesterday. We are now delivering cyber. We are now delivering internet using Kenya power lines. It's easier. So every place where we will have a Kenya power line, it will be possible to access the internet. We have already rolled out that program. Mugesi Maroa, sorry if I get your number right. You have a very valid point that private universities have students whose parents are taxpayers. That's correct. Public universities are run using public funds. We sponsor, as Government of Kenya, public universities. Private universities have sponsors. They have foundations. They are run by people who have networks of raising funds, either using foundations or other means, which sometimes as government we don't have. And because we value the fact that even those in private universities are also Kenyan students and their parents are taxpayers, that is why we haven't shut the door on them. We have said we are going to make public resources available to those students as loans, the same way we are making public resources as loans available to students in public universities. The only reason, Mogesi, why we, in this model, we have said we cannot provide for scholarship is because in the past, we said we are going to give them scholarship. And because we didn't have the money, we didn't. And we put many of those private universities in a lot of trouble. In fact, one public university closed down because we took students to them. They trained the students. We owe them money. They couldn't pay their staff. They couldn't pay. They closed down. So it is better we keep our word. It is better for us to say, this is the much we can do, rather than for us to say we can do so much. Today we have a debt of about 51 billion shillings owed to our private universities. It is a debt that we must pay, but it is unfair for us to continue to accumulate debt. It is better we tell them, for the moment, we cannot afford, but in the future, when our situation improves, we can reconsider. My good friend, Mr. Lagat, you've made a case for diploma students that they don't qualify. And I think your question is diploma students who are studying in universities. The loans and provisions we have made are for students in our TVETs. And I will tell you where the difference is. You know, as a way of making sure that our TVETs function, when I was Minister for Higher Education, I found out that it was cheaper to go to university than to go to a TVET institution. That was the case. Because we didn't consider properly TVETs. And it is one challenge I had to deal with. Because for a very long time, as a country, we considered TVET as a place for students who are failures, for lack of a better word. And that was a very wrong classification. And that is why when I became Minister for Higher Education, I brought a very big conversation. In fact, it was a very controversial conversation. I remember one Vice Chancellor of Moi University then, Professor Ogot, saying that the minister is causing confusion because this TVET thing is not the thing to do. But the reality is, whether you go to Germany, whether you go to Australia, many of their students go to TVET institutions. There is a lot of value in us balancing our education between knowledge on one end and competence and skills on another end. And therefore, it is the reason why I pushed very hard. When I was minister in 2009, 2010, there were only maybe 20,000 students in our TVETs. I started the first 30 TVET institutions. Today, I am very happy that we have 720,000 students in TVET from 20,000. And we have made huge progress. And we have closed many skills gap that existed. So I quite agree with you that we must not discriminate. It is the reason why in this funding model, we have enhanced scholarship and loans for our TVET students, and also we have maintained their upkeep, just the same way we are doing for our universities. As for your case, when universities are being considered, they are being considered to provide university degrees. We were trying to discourage universities from also doubling up and doing diploma courses, because there are many institutions now. We have close to 250 TVET institutions that can offer diploma courses. But the saving grace is that if you are a diploma student and you join a university after your diploma, you join as a second year, I think, you qualify for Higher Education Loans Board from there. And those are the instructions that we have given to the Higher Education Loans Board. Can we have a confirmation from you, gentlemen, that that is the case? I want you to answer that, gentleman.
That is the case, Your Excellency. They are funded like any other student when they join university for degrees.
Finally, Evans, my good friend Evans Mushanga. Your issue is that the loans and the default. You know, the loan issue is not, as I told you earlier, is not a new phenomenon. All of us, I can tell you, any student who has gone through university, unless their parents paid the full fee, they have a loan. And I don't think there is any crime in having a loan. And I don't think there is any crime if you have a loan and you genuinely don't have the money to pay for it. I am agreeable that we must look into the subject of a grace period, especially to consider that no student should be asked to pay until they have a job. I am agreeable to that. Because you can't ask a person who is tamaking to pay. Because, I mean, you'd just be asking the impossible. I didn't pay myself until I got a job. Nobody followed me. Maybe these people are a lot more aggressive nowadays. So I think the position should be, until we are sure of an income, and we have many ways of finding out an income, whether they are doing a good business, we can collect a lot of information from KRA and all the other agencies, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. And I will encourage those of us who took a loan from the university, if you can afford to pay, please, let us pay. It's the honorable thing to do so that the next bunch of kids can also access university education. On the interest is calculated by actuarial scientists. It is not meant for government to make money. It is just meant for it to be sustainable. That by the time you're paying, if you had been given 5 shillings, it is still 5 shillings that you pay. I don't know whether that is the correct position. Again, Higher Education Loans Board, you are the people